They do have a vacancy right now in a critical position called the warning coordination meteorologist, threatening the future ability to forecast events better because of staffing cuts are no longer staffing their offices 24 hours a day.
We have clips of a couple climate scientists on a CNN panel explaining why Trump's attacking of climate science and climate research is actually a really dumb idea. I know, who would have thought? So leave us a like on the video if you can. It helps us out a ton. It lets us know you enjoy this type of content, and let's get right to the science.
They do have a vacancy right now in a critical position called the warning coordination meteorologist. And so it could be that vacancy had connections to local authorities who could have helped to raise the early warnings for residents. But generally, a weather forecast office for the National Weather Service has someone on staff 24 hours watching the radar to see what is happening in terms of precipitation, rainfall, other threats. And there are National Weather Service offices throughout the country that, because of staffing cuts, are no longer staffing their offices 24 hours a day. And so we need these critical people to be keeping us safe 24 hours a day in every one of these offices across the country.
It's something my 6-year-old could logically work out, right? If there's less staff or less staffing hours, there's going to be less hands on deck for an emergency. So when it pertains to agencies in which exist specifically for emergencies or responding to emergencies, maybe don't affect the staffing levels. I don't know. This is matched, of course, with his cuts to FEMA. So it's a double problem with these agencies where they're now less able to send warnings or communicate with local officials beforehand. And now FEMA going forward will have less ability to provide the critical support after the fact that many people rely on. It is truly leaving those that need the most to fend for themselves.
The second piece of this is that staffing cuts at NOAA, or the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, more broadly, are threatening the future ability to forecast events better. Forecasting a storm like this one, where exactly is the heaviest rain going to fall? How is it going to translate from rain into flooding? These are extremely challenging problems scientifically, and it's the research of NOAA that enables us to improve our forecasts year over year so that we can more accurately pinpoint the warnings that need to go out to the public.
It's why science shouldn't be made political. I don't know. That's my hot take. You know, Trump and Republicans trying to force everything into the culture war, economics, healthcare, science, because they're losing on legislative grounds. It kind of just destroys many facets of America. And instead, experts should probably be allowed to be experts. Remember, merit, guys? It should probably matter with things like this without, them being deemed woke liberals for sticking to the facts. Trump has no real reasoning behind cutting the NOAA or the National Weather Service. It's literally just climate change is the liberal position. He's deemed it woke and fake to score political points. And so anything pertaining to climate change, he has to attack to motivate and rally his base. And now people are paying for it with their lives, not directly. I mean, that's a bit irresponsible to say, but you're hearing her that there's unfilled positions, communications are less as effective as they would be, and FEMA isn't going to be able to support people in the region the same. It's peak stupidity to do this, and it's the exact kind of actions that should never be forgotten by Americans. This is MAGA's America.
What exactly are these national climate assessments, and what does it mean that they've effectively vanished from federal websites?
Well, the national climate assessments of climate change impacts on the United States were mandated in a 1990 act of Congress, the U.S. Global Research Act of 1990. And they are supposed to be produced roughly every 4 years. Some have been slow, but on the whole, there have been 5 such reports produced. The 6th was recently canceled in midstream by President Trump. And the 5 previous ones, which were all posted on the U.S. Global Change Research Program's website, have disappeared for the moment. They may show up on the NASA website. We can hope so. But the whole fiasco is simply one aspect of a campaign by the Trump administration to dismantle large parts of the U.S. research establishment.
Exactly, and it's fascism, right? Like literally a core tenet of fascism. He wants to control the flow of information as a means to always detail his actions as a win and cover up any negative effects. He doesn't like climate change politically, but he knows the science is settled and the facts are all against him, so make it a cultural thing. Deem it woke. You're against it because it's woke. What does that even mean? Who knows? And then get in power and rapidly pull down the studies and research. My question is, do we not value science? Like, why would you want long-standing, peer-reviewed research to not be out there, right? Like, even if you disagree with it, why wouldn't you want that? Why would you want less people informed on what the scientific consensus is? This all kind of fits into the evangelical white supremacy model that Republicans typically run with, where science is often seen as antithetical, right? Or the enemy, because like a lot of these people, like in my earlier video that we watched this morning, they believe in things like, oh, the earth is only thousands of years old, or they believe in an intelligent designer, so evolution can't be real. So science is this big scary thing that they always have to attack and has to be painted in a bad light. But like when we're talking about the climate, when we're talking about medicine and these kinds of things, it's a pretty scary game to start discrediting science.